G'day from this most beautiful lounge in Dubai Airport after the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and what a day it was. But perhaps the biggest story over the race weekend was Lewis Hamilton splitting up with his physio Angela Cullen after 7 years. I'll tell you more in 8 seconds' time. Let me step you back as to the sequence of events. Thursday, Lewis came in on his own without Angela. I didn't actually pick up on that. Several people, late Thursday night and some on Friday morning, sorry about the noise here, we're going to have to deal with that, contacted me via Instagram and said, "Where's Angela?" So I was about to go down and ask the question when I see Angela Cullen post something about her 7 years with Lewis. I only read the first few lines and I thought, oh well, it's just a nice message saying that they've been together for 7 years. It wasn't until I saw Lewis Hamilton's post that I realised, oh, they'd split up. So I initially think it's a mutual parting of the ways. However, Toto Wolff said in the press conference on Friday, if this is what he decides, we will always absolutely support him, whatever direction he wants to take. Now from that you take that Lewis called an end to the arrangement. And what is the arrangement? Well, Angela was his physio, but she was so much more than that. She was his valet, a fashion assistant, a minder, friend, a confidant. It was an all-encompassing role. Of course, Lewis has plenty going on at the moment. He's got a car that's struggling. He now has no trusted colleague. Law Roach, his fashion stylist, has closed shop. And he's got a contract that's coming to an end at the end of this year. Perhaps he just needed a change, perhaps needed to refocus his energies. But pretty much everyone agrees that the timing was, at best, curious. The fact that it was between round 1 and round 2 of a new season. You would have thought that something like this might have been sorted out well prior. Maybe there was a trigger event between round 1 and 2. If so, you would have thought that there was enough time to get a replacement, and because Lewis had nobody helping him out on that side of things over the race weekend. Well, he had someone helping out, but it was just a team member. Angela is employed by a company called Hinsa, and Lewis went through Hinsa to secure Angela's services. And there's no doubt that Angela will easily find another job if she wants in the sporting field because she's worked at that top level. But Lewis was on his own in that respect, and it'll be very interesting to see whether in Australia he has appointed someone to take her place. One thing that was a right royal pain in Saudi was not being able to use WhatsApp for calls unless you had a VPN like Surfshark, because for some reason they banned that in that country. Surfshark enabled me to get around that, and if you're not sure what Surfshark is, well, it's a VPN that allows you to position your device anywhere in the world. Not only can you use WhatsApp with Surfshark, you can also access a whole lot of other websites and apps that may be blocked by certain countries. And if you're a Netflix user, you'll find you get a whole host of extra content by simply changing the position of your device. It's that easy. When you finish watching this video, click on the link in the description and get 83% off, 3 extra months free, and a money-back guarantee. You won't be disappointed. This is the last picture I took of Angela in Bahrain in the paddock, and everything seemed fine that weekend. There was no hint that there was a parting of ways on the cards. But of course, there are only a few people who know exactly what's happened. That'll be Lewis, Angela, and perhaps Lewis's management. But at the track, Angela was extremely popular. She's popular on social media as well. She has a couple of fan pages devoted to following her. 2 of my most popular videos on my YouTube channel involve Angela. She is the only female trainer, stroke physio, in the paddock, and was perhaps harshly criticised by many in the paddock for things like walking behind Lewis, running after him, swiping his pass when he came through, carrying his bags, holding the umbrella, and all that sort of caper. Well, that's something you'd expect of a top-level assistant. And if you have a look, many of the male trainers with their male drivers do exactly that same job. When you look at the situation, though, Lewis is the employer. It's his right to pick somebody he wants to work with. He's in a high-pressure job and he needs someone that he can have total confidence and trust in. If, as Toto suggested, it was Lewis who did call the parting of the ways, there's obviously some breakdown in trust, or he's just decided that there is a new direction that he wants to take. And I'm sure Angela has been paid out accordingly with the contract that she has, and Lewis will then be in a position to go out and find somebody that he can once again have that confidence and trust in, and hopefully that leads him to better performances on track, because I think the sport wants to see him back at the top at some point. Certainly, though, it came as a shock to almost everybody, And I know a lot of you follow Angela on social media and were really gobsmacked. You didn't want to see her leave the sport. Many don't. Look, perhaps in Australia we'll learn a little bit more, but I kind of think that by the time Australia comes, it's well and truly old news and we will all have moved on. I think too that the timing of the announcement being on the Friday meant that Lewis didn't have to face the media on the Thursday, so perhaps that was clever timing on both of their parts. Will we see Angela back in the paddock? I don't think this year. Moving on to some other matters that came up during the Saudi GP, they've banned bikes on the track, so Charles Leclerc used to ride the track and a couple of others would also ride the track just to get out and have a look at it. Well, that won't be happening anymore, so it's too dangerous with cars and bikes on the track, and scooters also come into that ban. We have a new media pen at the track. Last year we had this one. This year got something more permanent, and it's in the same sort of feel as the top of the paddock with the green grassy feature. I can tell you that this track has spent a fortune on lighting. In fact, they have 32,000 lights at that track there, including a whole lot of these, what are they, Krypton Good Boy lights, which are big spotties, and when they all get going and they fire up into the sky, it reminds me a bit of those lights from Hollywood premieres. Do you recognise these two gentlemen? This is Antti Konsas, who used to train Seb, and this is Mark Arnold, who trained Kimi and then moved over to sharing Seb with Antti for his last year or two. Well, both of them are back in the paddock. Antti's looking after Hinsa, which is the company that does most of the trainers, and Mark Arnold's looking after the F1 people. Did you know that there's a marina at this track? Yes, it's at the very far end. I went for a wander down there today. It's a bit of a hike, but a nice marina. If you've got a large boat or a small one, you can put it in there and you're very close to the track. Of course, it's not on the same scale as Monaco or Abu Dhabi, but it's still pretty handy if you're a boat owner. There are speakers on the overpasses now, so you get this lovely music as you're entering and leaving the track. That's a new addition. Some of you have asked what the weather has been like. Well, it's been mild, still warm, maybe 31 degrees, but that's mild for this part of the world. But I saw so many brand new air conditioners still in their packaging, waiting to be unpacked and put into use here at the track. Mosquitoes were an issue last year, and as such they were spraying all around the track today. And also in our media centre we have these white units sitting underneath our desks, which either kill the mozzies or repel them. On the signage front, is there a bigger sign for any sponsor in F1? I don't think there is. This is on a partially completed building and is a fair statement. Did you know that this is one of the only tracks where you can actually stand above the track and watch cars go underneath? There are two places. One is here below the Royal Suite. Chances are you and I are not going to get an invite there, but there's also this particular spot where corporates can stand above the track and look straight down without a window obscuring their view. The paddock, well, it looks different. Have a look at last year's, look at the ground there. This year, look at the bright colours. But unfortunately what they did was they painted that before the trucks moved in. They moved in, they put carpet over the top to protect it, but that was just getting chewed up by the wheels. So they had to take the carpet out, which meant that the paintwork got marked by the tyres, and then they had to repaint it. And finally, as I was leaving the track today, I saw this sign. Now, I've never ever seen a sign that refers to people of determination. I thought that was great, but is that adopted anywhere else in the world? Your comments, please, will tell me if it is. Let's jump now to race day. And it was after the race that I saw Fernando Alonso with his trophy just come off the podium, walking towards one of the media people from the FIA. And I noticed that they came to a stop, both of them. I could see a little bit of a conversation going on for maybe 15 seconds. The next thing you know, the media guy has grabbed the trophy from Fernando and said to someone else, right, now we have to find George. So at that moment, I realised, hello, Fernando's lost his third place. So I put up a post and then go and chase it up. And yes, sure enough, it was deemed that he didn't serve his penalty incorrectly. So I thought that was the story. George had the third place. But of course, a little later on in the night, George didn't get third place. It was handed back to Fernando. So there was a fair amount of scathing criticism on my post and lots of others about the FIA and the way they handled that. It was a tricky situation and embarrassing for a number of parties. And just before I go, I want to mention the fact that Oscar Piastri had a great quali and a not so good a race day, but I can tell you that there are still some Oscar Piastri prints left, along with some Esteban Ocons. And coming up this week, I have two new announcements. You've got to make sure you have registered to receive first option dibs on new signed prints, because you will want one or maybe both of these. With that said, I'm going to call it quits and say thank you very much for clicking the like button. And some of you have not subscribed, so here's a chance to remedy that situation and become a member. You'll find all of my digital images at prostarpics.com for personal or editorial use, for a range of photo books, wall art, merchandise and drivers sign printing. Go to kimillman.com, and for my best images live from the track and through the week, go to Instagram and search at Kim Illman. Thank you for watching and stay passionate. Pierre Gasly, come on, boy.